The boy's name was Mateo Cruz, and until that moment under the blinding lights of America's Got Talent, no one in the audience knew his name, his pain, or the impossible journey that brought him there. He stood small and trembling, his clothes neatly pressed but clearly borrowed, his fingers tightly curled around the tiny hand of a monkey named Lico. The judges smiled politely at first, expecting another sweet novelty act. What they didn't know was that this child carried a story heavy enough to silence an entire theater. Mateo was born in a remote fishing village in the southern Philippines, a place where houses were made of bamboo and tin, and nights were lit by kerosene lamps instead of electricity. His father was a fisherman who never returned from a storm when Mateo was 5. His mother worked cleaning fish at the docks until illness slowly took her strength. By the time Mateo turned 8, he was already waking before sunrise to help neighbors in exchange for rice. Childhood, for him, was not games or cartoons, but survival. One afternoon, while scavenging near the edge of the jungle for fallen coconuts, Mateo heard a faint cry. At first, he thought it was a bird, but the sound was different, desperate, almost human. Following the noise, he found a baby monkey caught in a crude wire trap left by poachers. The animal was bleeding and terrified, its tiny chest rising fast with fear. Mateo did something most adults wouldn't dare. He used a rock to break the trap and tore his own shirt to wrap the monkey's wounded leg. He named the monkey Lico, which in his dialect meant survivor. Mateo hid Lico in an abandoned shed near his home, feeding him bits of banana and rice. But monkeys grow fast, and secrets in small villages don't last. When local hunters discovered the monkey, they demanded Mateo hand him over. Monkeys could be sold, trained, or worse. Mateo refused. That night, he ran. With nothing but a small bag, a handful of coins, and Lico clinging to his shoulder, Mateo left the only home he had ever known. For weeks, they moved from place to place, sleeping under bridges, behind markets, sometimes in churchyards. Mateo begged when he had to, worked when he could, and sang when there was no other choice. His voice, even then, was something special. Clear, aching, and full of emotion far beyond his years. People stopped when they heard him sing. At first, they thought it was the monkey that drew the crowd. Lico would clap, bow, and gently place his head against Mateo's chest. But then Mateo would sing, and laughter turned into silence. Coins turned into bills. One night, a tourist recorded a short video on her phone and posted it online with a simple caption about a boy and his monkey singing for survival. That video didn't go viral overnight. It moved slowly, shared by people who felt something they couldn't explain. Months later, it reached a Filipino-American music teacher in California who watched it late at night and cried. She tracked Mateo down with the help of a local charity and offered something Mateo had never imagined. A chance. The journey to America was overwhelming. Mateo had never been on a plane. Lico had never seen anything outside the jungle. There were legal battles, quarantine issues, and moments when it seemed impossible. At one point, authorities tried to separate them, saying the monkey couldn't travel. Mateo refused to go without Lico. He said if the monkey stayed, he stayed. That was the first twist. America's Got Talent producers heard about the situation and stepped in quietly. Special permissions were arranged. Lico would be allowed on stage, under strict supervision. Mateo would audition. Standing on that stage, Simon Cowell asked the simple question everyone asks. Why are you here? Mateo took a breath and spoke in careful English. I am here because this monkey saved my life. And maybe I saved his. And together, we want to show that even small hearts can survive big storms. The audience leaned forward. The music began softly. Mateo sang a song about loss, about a father lost to the sea, a mother lost to sickness, and nights when hunger felt louder than hope. Lico sat beside him, unusually still, as if understanding every word. Halfway through the song, the monkey did something no one expected. He reached out and wiped a tear from Mateo's cheek. The theater gasped. Simon Cowell stopped writing. His jaw tightened. Heidi Klum covered her mouth. By the final note, the room was silent. Not a single clap. Not because they didn't like it, but because they didn't know how to breathe again. Then the applause exploded. Simon stood up slowly. He didn't speak right away. When he finally did, his voice was quieter than usual. I have judged thousands of acts. I have never seen something so raw, so real, and so unforgettable. This wasn't a performance. This was life. Then came the second twist. Simon reached for the golden buzzer. As the golden confetti fell, Mateo dropped to his knees, overwhelmed. Liko leapt into his arms, chattering wildly. The boy who once ran through the jungle with nothing now stood on one of the biggest stages in the world, showered in gold. But the story didn't end there. After the show aired, donations poured in, but Mateo didn't keep them. He asked that the money be used to build shelters for homeless children and rescue animals in his village. He returned to the Philippines months later, not as a runaway, but as a symbol of hope. A school was built. A wildlife rescue center was opened. And Mateo continued to sing, not for coins, but for purpose. Simon Cowell later said in an interview that Mateo and Liko reminded him why talent shows exist in the first place. Not for fame, not for ratings, but for moments that stop the world and remind us what being human truly means. Today, Mateo still sings. Liko still sits beside him. And somewhere, a child watching this video might believe that no matter where you start, your story can still rise.